Hey guys, Helen here, and welcome to 10 Tips to Countdown to Training. And today we are going to be talking about tips for drinking on the run and why keeping hydrated whilst you're running is so important. So we're on day 8 of my 10 tips to countdown for training. Let's go it! Okay, so looking outside, it is another beautiful day. So I hope loads of you have already been out running because it's getting hotter and hotter through the days. The last couple of days, I usually go out running at midday, but it's been far too hot to go out, late morning, midday. So early morning is definitely the time right now to be getting out on your runs. And one of the things you need to be thinking about throughout summer, really from now onwards, and in fact always, is hydration and making sure that you are drinking water on the run. So if you've never run much during summer, you might be a little bit apprehensive about how you're going to fare over the course of the next few months, training for races, or if you're not going to be training for a race, getting yourself back motivated and gas back into a regular running to really keep your fitness up. You don't want to lose it after all that hard work you've had over the spring. So watch this video where I'm going to really explain why staying hydrated is so important when you're running in summer, as well as I'm going to give you some tips for how to drink water whilst you're on the run. So I always get a couple of messages a couple of days, a couple of weeks before marathons with someone who goes, oh my goodness, do I really need to drink water on the marathon? I've done all my long runs without water. And I think it can be tempting when we're training through winter to think, oh, we don't need to keep hydrated, we don't need water. But it's vitally important, even when you're running in winter, that you do take water with you on your long runs. And that is because your body sweats and you need to replace those fluids. So is that you? Do you drink when you're running? I'm always shocked by just how many people say they've never taken water with them and are asking, do I need a water bottle? How do I carry this stuff? Don't want to carry stuff in my hands. The earlier in your training that you get used to taking water with you, the better. So that by the time you get into super duper long runs and race day itself, you've got used to this. So we are now about to start training for marathons later on this year. And we're going to be training for our marathons through the heat of summer. So it's going to be vitally important that you need to be taking water with you when you're out on your long runs. And if it's a really hot day, you might need to take water with you on your short runs. And you definitely need to be thinking about hydration, keeping yourself well hydrated throughout the day, before and after your runs. So why am I so insistent that water is so important to take with you when your runs? And it's all about sweating. And sweat is really important. It's a really important part of running. And I know a lot of girls go, oh, I don't like sweating. Sweat is bad. But sweat is really important, because when we run, our bodies produce heat. They produce heat in our muscles and in our internal organs. And heat is a byproduct of creating energy to power us around our runs. And our body, it creates heat as that byproduct, and we need to get rid of that heat some way. Otherwise, we're just going to sort of cook from the inside. We're just going to heat up from the inside of our bodies. So what actually happens is blood moves from our muscles to the surface of our body, and we produce sweat, which then evaporates, and that then cools your blood, which then gets recirculated around your body, and that cools your body down, okay? So the whole action of sweating is really, really important. We produce that sweat and that evaporates, and it's that evaporation process that cools your body down. So sweat on your body is a great way, it's a great sign that you're working hard, you're producing that energy, and it's important that you allow your body to sweat, because that is going to cool your body down. Okay, now when we sweat, our body loses fluids and it loses salts, okay? And both fluids and salts need to be replenished when you are on a long run, especially what I call a super duper long run, anything over really about 13, 14, 15 miles, okay? Now, if you don't drink when you're running, or if you start your runs a little bit dehydrated, because let's face it, right now it's hotter, so we're sweating, but we're sweating all the time, a little bit more than we're used to. If we're starting our running when we're a little bit dehydrated, then when we're dehydrated, our blood is a little bit thicker, okay? And when our blood is thicker, it's harder for our heart to pump it around our body. And that has the effect of raising our heart rate. And that will make running feel a hell of a lot harder. So tip for you is always make sure before you head out on your runs, before you do any form of exercise, if you want an easy life, make sure you're well hydrated. I've always got pints of water with me on my desk. I'm always sipping water throughout my day, so to keep my body well hydrated, so when I get to go out for a run, I can bash out that run and I don't have to worry. I'm going to be able to give it my best. So tip number one, always keep yourself hydrated. So I also recommend that you take water with you on your runs, and take water with you on any run that is going to be over about 1 hour long, and especially your long runs, okay? You always sweat when you're out running, because when we're running, our bodies are producing heat in our muscles, so we're always going to be producing that sweat, and so we're always going to need to be replenishing our water, okay? So even in cold weather, we need to make sure that we're taking water with us, okay? So you need to make sure that you're doing that. And as part of your training, as part of your race training, your marathon training, you need to get used to carrying water with you on your runs. Now, I forgot to bring it up here, but I always carry a water bottle with me in my hand, and it's not great to be carrying a water bottle. It's not the best thing to be doing, but what I try and do is, instead of just carrying it always in my right arm, which would then mean I'm carrying, building up the bicep and the right arm, I switch hands every kilometer. My phone, my watch beeps at me every K, so I switch the hands that I hold my water bottle with every kilometer or so, okay? So if you're not keen on carrying a water bottle, and I know a lot of you are not, and I think physios would say it's not a great thing because you alter your running style if you're always carrying in one hand or the other. Another option for you on your long runs is to get a camelback, which is like a rucksack where you carry the water on your back, and you've got a little tube where you suck out the water there, and that's a better option for you, because you're carrying the water on your back, and it means that you're not putting stress down one side of your body at each and every time. But on a hot day, you've then got to contend with that you've got an extra layer, and it can feel quite hot on your back. But that's another option for you. It's a really good option, and What you will then find is if you buy a Camelback type of rucksacky type things, and you can get them all sorts of running shops, they'll often have places where you can put your gels and things on the front for easy access, and you could keep your phone there as well. So that's another option for you. And a third option for carrying your water and your water bottles is to get a bum bag that has water bottles attached. That can or that can go in your bum bag, okay? So you don't then have to carry water in your hands there. So it's really important to try, and if you're not used to running with water or taking water with you on your long runs, now is the time to get that sorted. Now is the time to start, because it's going to be quite dangerous for you getting out there in the heat of the sun at summer's day for your long runs, running without any water. If you don't drink water, then you could get dehydrated, and that can be dangerous, okay? So make sure that you're doing that. Now, the other thing that happens when we sweat, we lose water, but we also lose salts. And those salts also need to be replenished if you're out running for a long period of time. If you're not replenishing your salts, that can have all sorts of other problems with your running. So if you're running for a long time and sweating a lot, then you need to consider taking salts. Now, if you're using energy gels, sports foods or sports drinks, now they are all formulated where they contain a lot of salts. They'll have on the packet, it says electrolytes. Electrolytes is just a fancy word for salts, okay? So if it says they're containing electrolytes, then you're all good to go. But if you're not using sports products, if you're not using gels or any of those sports chews or anything like that, you're just fueling with things like jelly babies, then you might like to add a salt tablet to your water. So you can buy those, again, from any sports shops or on the internet, and all you do is you put the salt tablet in your water there, and that will help you replenish the salts in your bodies to make sure that you're not lacking in salt. Now, in summer, it is more important than ever that because we're sweating more and drinking more water. And if you don't replenish your salts when you drink your water, what actually happens is you dilute the concentration of salts in your blood, which can be dangerous over a long period of time. So make sure that you're also taking that into account when you're out on your runs. And then finally, when you get back from your runs, you need to make sure you're rehydrated. So need to make sure as soon as you get in from your runs, especially now in summer, that you drink a good pint of water. So get the hydration going immediately that you're back. And then what I recommend that you do is keep water with you next to you for all the remainder of the day, and keep sipping water throughout the day. It's really important. Hydration is so important for us runners because dehydration makes running so much harder. So in summary, we are sweating because we need to be losing heat from our body, and we create heat from our muscles doing work when we're running. Number one, it's important to be drinking water throughout the day so that you're not dehydrated when you head out on your runs. 2, you need to make sure that you take water with you on your runs, and any run over 1 hour, I recommend that you do that. 3, if it's a hot summer's day and you're going out for a long run, you need to make sure that you're replenishing salts as well. And 4, you need to make sure that you rehydrate when you're back from your run. So I hope that's been useful. Hydration, drinking on your run right now and throughout summer is so important. Now, if you've had a bit of time out over the last few months and you're a little bit worried about getting back into training, your motivation is pretty shot, you're not sure whether or not we're going to be racing, going to be doing our races later on this year, and motivation is a little bit, but you still want to get back into running, then why don't you come and join my free 7-day summer training kickstart that is starting on Monday. It is a 7-day kickstart plan that I'm doing for the group to make sure that we can get back into running. I've heard so many people say, oh my goodness, I've lost my mojo, really not too sure how I'm going to get it back, how I'm going to keep motivated to do something this summer. So that's why I'm doing a 7-day kickstart to get us back into training. So what I'm going to be doing over 7 days, I'm going to give you some runs to do, and we're going to explore different types of runs that you're going to be finding in your training plans, and to make sure that you know what you're doing if you're going to get back into training. And I'm going to motivate you, make sure that you are on track, make sure that we can get going with a bit of a kickstart. And also, I'm going to give you some conditioning work to be doing, because conditioning is so important when we're marathon training, where we're training for any sort of races, and we're putting our bodies through a lot of stress and strain. And each evening from Monday, I'm going to be going live with a short coaching call to coach you in some other tips to help you with your training through this summer, whether you're training for London or another marathon, or you just want to get back training for a virtual race later on this year. So make sure that you're signed up to come and join us. We're kicking off on Monday. You can save your spots by clicking the link to the video either above or below this video, but make sure you come and join us for our 7-day summer training kickstart. It is free, totally free for this group, so I hope to see you there. Take care, and I will be back again tomorrow morning for the next in my 10 tips to get training this summer. Bye, see you then, bye.